The vegetable that saved entire tribes from starvation was deliberately erased from American agriculture, and most people have never even heard its name. While we obsess over superfoods from distant continents, we've abandoned the most nutrient-dense crops that once thrived in our own soil. What happened to them? Most Americans have never heard of sunchokes, but these knobby little tubers once kept entire communities alive through brutal winters. The colonists called them Jerusalem artichokes, though they're neither from Jerusalem nor related to artichokes. Classic case of terrible marketing, really. These underground gems taste like a cross between potatoes and water chestnuts, with a satisfying nutty sweetness that made them irresistible to early settlers. What made sunchokes absolutely brilliant was their stubborn refusal to give up. Poor soil? No problem. Harsh frost? Bring it on. They thrived where other crops threw in the towel. But here's where it gets interesting. Sunchokes are packed with iron and potassium, nutrients that were life or death important when scurvy and malnutrition stalked frontier families. Native Americans had been cultivating these tubers for centuries, storing them in root cellars where they'd stay fresh all winter long. You could eat them raw for that satisfying crunch, or roast them over a fire until they turned sweet and tender. Raw sunchokes contain resistant starch, which feeds the good bacteria in your gut. Modern nutritionists are just catching up to what indigenous peoples knew all along. The weird part is how completely they vanished from American tables. When potatoes arrived from South America, sunchokes got pushed aside like yesterday's news. Potatoes were easier to cook, stored longer, and frankly, had better PR. Today, most people walk past sunchokes in specialty grocery stores without a second glance. They cost $8 a pound and get labeled as some exotic superfood. Our ancestors would laugh. Then there's another forgotten tuber that required even more specialized knowledge to harvest safely. Most people think of poison when they hear toxic plant, but Native Americans along the eastern coast had a different approach. They saw twahu, also known as arrow arum, and thought, dinner. Sure, it could kill you if eaten raw, but with the right preparation, pure starchy gold. This marsh-dwelling tuber grew where other crops simply couldn't survive. Soggy wetlands, flooded areas, spots that would drown regular vegetables, twahu thrived there like a happy duck. The plant basically laughed at farming challenges that stumped everyone else. Here's the thing about indigenous food knowledge. It wasn't just about finding calories. These folks figured out complex detoxification processes that would make modern chemists jealous. They'd roast the tubers for hours, sometimes leaching them in running water for days. Talk about patience. Try explaining that timeline to someone waiting for their microwave burrito. But wait, there's more. The leaves weren't just decoration. They became nature's aluminum foil, perfect for wrapping fish or other foods before steaming. Zero waste, maximum efficiency. Makes you wonder who the real innovators were. The preparation was labor-intensive, sure, but the payoff was reliable nutrition when you needed it most. Twahu provided steady carbohydrates during lean seasons, growing in places where nothing else would cooperate. Today, you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who even recognizes arrow arum, let alone knows how to prepare it safely. Most of this knowledge exists only in dusty historical records and the memories of elders. Speaking of forgotten foods that required serious survival skills, let's head west to the prairies, where another root crop earned the nickname road snack among traveling tribes. Picture a root so tough, it could survive anywhere from bone-dry summer heat to brutal prairie winters. That's the prairie turnip for you, nature's original energy bar. Plains tribes called it tipsala, and honestly, they had it figured out. This protein-packed root wasn't just food, it was portable survival. Think about it. You're heading out on a 3-week buffalo hunt across endless grassland. What do you pack? Prairie turnip, dried and ready to go. The timing was everything. Summer digging meant back-breaking work under the scorching sun, but the payoff was huge. Women would harvest these thumb-sized roots, then slice them thin as paper. Once dried, they turned hard as rocks and could last for years. Years! Your modern granola bars wish they were that reliable. But here's where it gets interesting. This wasn't just trail mix. Ground into flour, prairie turnip became the backbone of winter meals. The nutrition was incredible too. Fiber, vitamin C, manganese, everything you needed when fresh food was just a memory. What made this root special was its stubborn streak. While other crops threw in the towel during droughts, Prairie turnip just shrugged and kept growing. The drier the better, actually.